All right, everyone. Welcome back to the world of cinematics. It's been a fun year, 2020. We've had some more frequent periods and less frequent periods of uploading, but we're here. We're happy to celebrate the end of the year with you. No, I'm not going to sing Auld Lang Syne for you, or however you say it. I don't know. I don't speak Scottish, but either way, we're happy to be here. Happy to have you with us. I don't know. How's your 2021 been, Robert?
I thought it was 2020 still.
Everyone does.
Uh, it's been, I mean, judging by this calic of a hair I got, it's been a year.
Yeah, yeah.
So, it's kind of a blur. But we have progressed quite a bit. We
Yeah.
went from doing recordings to now doing live shows, so that's great.
Yeah. And I don't want to speak for everyone, but I think it's been a pretty good year for movies. Not just in terms of, we've had some good movies come out, but, movie theaters are slowly coming back to life. I mean, it was kind of rough at the beginning of the year, but now we've got $1 billion film here at the end of the year. And not only have movie theaters come back, at weird trivia about me, I freaking love the Oscars, and not just like, ooh, I want to see the ceremony. I don't really care about the ceremony. It's more of just like, oh, I care about like what are the betting odds and who's in the race right now, and the nominations haven't even begun voting on yet. But it's made me very excited to see that some very big popular movies are actually in the running for a lot of big Oscars, like Dune as potential Best Picture nominee. It's definitely going to get nominated. But also dark horse contender for things like Best Picture, Best Director, Best Adapted Screenplay. Spider-Man No Way Home. You don't see that most years. So it's been a good year for movies, both in terms of quality, in terms of, movies, theaters surviving, but also, hey, populist cinema, it's been really freaking good.
I gotta say, trailers have upped their game this year, too.
Yeah, they have.
There's been a few trailers that I'm like, I gotta see this. And then
The
you
Northman.
got... Oh, man, that the Northman, that was so cool.
Uh-huh.
I watched the trailer like 3 times right afterwards.
Uh-huh.
If you haven't seen that trailer and you love Vikings, go check it out.
Even if you don't love Vikings, go watch it. Like, if you love Willem Dafoe being weird, he only has one shot in the trailer, and already that satisfies everything I would have needed this year for weird Willem Dafoe. I mean, I already got plenty with Spider-Man, but oh my gosh, go watch the Northman trailer.
It's cool. And then also you got Batman.
Yeah. We've
That
had
came-
two great trailers for Batman this year. I forget, the first one actually came out in 2020.
Oh, it did. You're right.
Yeah, we've been in a time warp, man.
Yeah, I remember when we were trying to come up with the topic for this episode. I was just like pulling out movies from 2020. I'm like, wait, no.
That came out like a year and a half
Came
ago.
out a year ago.
Came out 2 years ago.
Who put on the way back? What's going on?
Yeah.
Okay,
For
one
real.
second. I'm gonna fix my light. It's bright in here.
It's weird that one of my favorite movies from 2021, it just barely missed out on my top 10, my personal top 10 list. That was a movie that won an Oscar in the 2020 Oscars. Everything has been so weird with movies and Oscars and time these last 2 years, but hopefully things are starting to get on the the right track again. We have vaccines. The Omicron variant looks like it's basically the flu and it's taking over, so that's a good thing. Robert looks like he's seen a ghost. I'm curious to see what's going on. But in the meantime, we're going to get started telling all y'all about our top 10 movies of 2021. This was kind of a composite list that Robert and I came up with. It doesn't perfectly reflect either of our top 10s, but it is a good indicator of what we think are the best movies of this year. And it's also, we got some variety in there. We got some really cool ones. And, I mean, even my least favorite one on this list, I'd still recommend that anyone go watch. We got some great movies. I don't know. Anything you want to add to that, Robert?
It did take us quite a bit, especially since I haven't seen a ton of movies this year. Because my mind, like we said, blurred to 2 years. So I'm watching movies from last year thinking it was this year.
Right.
But it took us a while, and I think we found I would say kind of an overall good
Yeah.
10.
hmm
But
yeah, with
I got nothing else. You want me to move on?
all right, let's dive in. The first one that we've got, our official number 10 movie of 2021 was The Tomorrow War.
Oh, I went to the wrong one. There we go.
No, what have you done, Robert?
I fixed it. Don't worry. I forgot we were going backwards.
All right, The Tomorrow War. Look at that. Yeah, it's for those of you who didn't see it, I don't think it got a theatrical release at all. I think it just released straight to Amazon Prime. But the basic premise is actually a really fascinating idea for a sci-fi story, in my opinions. You got these people. They're, I don't know, it was a Christmas party, New Year's party, something like that. But
it was a Christmas party.
Okay, Christmas party. Christmas party. They're having fun as a family with friends, watching a soccer game. Which, I mean, on a side note, how un-American can you get? Come on, Chris Pratt. I thought you're real, man. But okay.
When we said football, we meant American football, not European.
Yeah, but he's watching a soccer game, and all of a sudden, like this weird, flashing lights, portals, people start running all over the field. Soldiers from the future. They say, hey, in the future, humanity starts fighting a war against frickin' aliens. And guess what? We're losing. We're losing badly. So badly that our only hope is to go back in time and recruit people to help us now. Because otherwise, humanity is going to completely be extinct in, I don't know, a few months. Sorry.
And I gotta say, one thing I do really like about it is how they explain why their time why they did the time the way they did. And it's like, oh, because the guy asked, was it a girl or a guy? I've only watched it twice.
I don't know. There's lots of guys and girls. I don't know who you're referring to.
One of them mentioned of how, why didn't they go back in time to stop or to warn themselves before it all started happening?
Mm.
And they're like, well, this is why.
Yeah, it's not like time travel is just the super easy thing that they have in the future. They barely managed to put this thing together. They don't really fully understand how it works. All they managed to do is create this one point in time and send back to another point in time. So it's like this hallway, this river, this means of communication between these 2 points. But those 2 points continue moving on throughout time. So if it was you could move exactly 30 years back in the past, then it will continually be 30 years back in the past. You can't go back to a different point to warn yourself, go to a different point to get even more reinforcements. You're stuck with those 2 points.
And they're picking out people who have died before the invasion even happened. So this way it's like, okay, we're not corrupting any timelines or anything like that.
Right.
If anything, we're trying to erase our timeline so we can create a new one.
Yeah, we're picking people who have terminal cancer or who are about to die in a car accident next week or things like that. So that way, if you die terribly, which most of them do, something like 90% of all the recruits don't make it back. If you do, timeline's not going to be all that screwed up.
So it's a really good way that they were able to construct how time works. You got all these other time traveling movies, TV shows where it's like, I see a little hole here, and I think a bunch of people fell into that hole. Just saying.
Yeah, like no time travel movie is perfect because time travel isn't real and is impossible for a number of reasons. But it does a pretty good job of staying to its rules that it establishes.
Yeah, and that's. Oh wait a second, hold up.
Yeah, I'll say this.
Am I the one that goes first? Sorry, my brain is like looking at the, the agenda. I'm like, wait. Oh, that's okay. That's right. I'm bold. I'm bold writing.
Yes, you're a bold one, aren't you? Dang it! I screwed it up. We had a perfect General Kenobi moment set up, and I missed it. I blew it. But yeah,
you were the chosen one. There you go. I saved it.
There you go. One of the things I loved about this movie that like I love the Alien franchise. I love all sorts of sci-fi franchises. When you have like these unstoppable aliens that are so gross and invincible and all these things, so often you see them as just the same things over and over again. Obviously, I think the design was done best in the Alien franchise, but even in the Alien franchise, every time there's a movie, they change what the aliens look like. And so I'm always like, okay, let's see, what do we got? What do we got? This one, it was different. I liked it. I mean, for one, it's not black. They're always black. No, these aliens are actually white. And yes, they're dangerous because they can tear you apart running on all fours and stuff. The thing that's most dangerous about them, they shoot freaking poison spikes the size of like a spear out of them. That's freaking scary.
Yeah. Before you even first encounter them when they're going through the hospital, or was it? I think it was a research center.
Yeah, it was a research center.
So when they're going through there, they're trying to clear the rooms. And what's cool is that Chris Pratt's character is a former military, special
former
ops.
high school chemistry teacher.
Yeah,
Was it chemistry or biology?
biology. I'm pretty sure it was biology.
Yeah, chemistry is Breaking Bad. I was getting my wires crossed there.
Well, that, and also I remember because one of the kids like was obsessed with volcanoes.
Yeah.
And he's like, "This is biology. That's more of chemistry, geology stuff."
Yeah. Like, shut up, kid.
Shut up. Turns out he was useful.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's on Amazon Prime. If it is free, so go watch it.
If you have Amazon Prime, but yeah,
if you have Amazon
Prime,
Prime,
it's great.
I enjoy it. I remember I actually watched it when it did first come out because I was pretty excited for it, and so it was a good little twist on the alien stuff in sci-fi.
Yeah.
And time. I'm a huge time travel guy, so that was really fun. But speaking of time traveling, there's a person that never ages. That was a terrible segue, but I'm going to go with it.
Are we talking about Tony Leung?
Is that his name?
Oh, that's the actor's name. The actor barely ages in real life too.
That's fair. That's fair. Now I think about it, even when he said he took off the rings, which
yeah, spoiler.
Sorry.
Let's talk about it.
We're talking about Shang-Chi.
Remember,
10 rings.
It's Shang.
Shang-Chi. So we're talking about this guy right here, which we talked about our favorite TV heroes one time. He actually plays the son of Appa.
Yes, he's wonderful on Kim's Convenience. He's hilarious.
Yeah, he's hilarious, and his relationship with his...
I don't know which is a worse relationship.
Go watch it. That's all I gotta say. It's hilarious. Yeah. But, yeah. Legend 10 Rings. We have no idea where these rings came from. Well,
I mean,
I don't.
Idea, but
I have no idea.
I only have an idea because I Googled it. Like, okay, what's the deal with these 10 rings? Because I don't know. I was curious how it linked in with Iron Man when Iron Man 3 was coming out. And so I have an idea. They're probably going to change it, but I'm curious to see. So for those of you who don't know, this is a Marvel movie. It connects with, probably Iron Man, the strongest. But for the most part, it's just doing its own thing. Every once in a while, there's a reference. There's like one character who is also in other Marvel movies, but even then, he's maybe 1 minute of screen time. For the most part, yeah. Don't put dirt in his eye. Come on, this is Wong. This is Sorcerer Supreme. He's great. But yeah, for the most part, it's just an epic kung fu movie in the first half, and the second half is an Asian medieval fantasy movie, which I think I prefer the first half, but I do really like both halves of the movie. Robert is having technical difficulties.
Wrong. Liars.
Yeah, Robert, I think you've seen more kung fu movies and that sort of thing than me,
What's
right?
that supposed to mean?
No,
I don't run around in a gi and attack people.
Well, like, my family didn't have any growing up. Like,
okay.
All my experience has been since I come to college.
So it's funny you say that because I was telling my parents about when we used to watch a movie called Sidekicks. I don't know if you know what that movie is. It's a Chuck Norris film.
Okay.
Well, okay, it's Sidekicks with Chuck Norris or something like that. But
yeah,
old 80s American Kung Fu.
Yeah.
That should say it all. It's ridiculous and hilarious. I'll probably end up bringing it up in another episode. It's also on Amazon Prime, by the way.
Okay.
Super goofy, super cheesy. But I actually grew up watching quite a bit of those Kung Fu movies with Jackie Chan and
Bruce Lee.
Bruce Lee. Donnie Yen.
Yeah.
Ip Man. He plays an Ip Man. And there's also, was it Legend of the Forbidden Kingdom? I think.
I don't know.
It has Jackie Chan and Jet Li and Shia LaBeouf.
What?
My, we're gonna have to do an episode about
Okay,
kung fu movies because
I'm excited to learn more. But
Eh,
with my limited
but
experience, mostly being Shang-Chi, I'm excited.
yeah, okay, yeah. Shang-Chi is like the best end of it, the way they did it,
Mm.
because those movies they had that very Chinese opera
Yeah.
movement,
Mhm.
and I feel like they did a great job with her fighting style, the mother's fighting style,
Yeah,
and her
very
tribes.
very crouching tiger, hidden dragon, like very floating around like they're on wires cuz yeah, it is a reference to old Chinese opera where they were on wires.
Yeah, and I like how they did the camera work.
Mhm.
Corridor Crew, they had a on YouTube. Go check them out. I know we're on YouTube. Don't leave yet. Wait,
Please.
hear me out first. They had two guys who
Mhm.
were on that set. One was a cameraman. One was were they both camera? No, I think one of them was a stuntman. But anyways,
Probably.
he was talking. The camera guy was talking about how they work the camera for it.
Mhm.
And so as he's doing these movements, he's like, "I've never worked with Chinese martial arts before, so this is a very interesting thing." And as I'm watching a guy who's seen those kind of movies, I'm like, "This is actually really exciting." Jackie Chan, he does almost all that stuff. That's just how he does his stuff because he was Chinese opera.
Mhm.
But all the movements, not just the fighting, but the camera movements, the way they had things. There's so many things in that movie that were a tribute to some of these other movies. Like you got this part in the train scene, which Jed can tell you he loves that scene.
The bus scene, not the train scene.
Dang it! Okay, I think I know why I think it's a train scene. It's because the way they had the buses connected, like a freaking.
Yeah. And the bus is in a tunnel for a bit.
Yeah, that'll probably do it.
Yeah.
So, the bus scene. Please sponsor us. I need more. Apparently.
Yeah, the bus scene while he's taking a drink of that.
Ugh.
Tons of classic Jackie Chan stuff, whether it's fighting using his jacket or whether it's swinging around on the hand-holding bars in the bus while kicking people so that he can get around them to get to the driver's seat because the bus is out of control. It's tons of stunt on a stunt on a stunt on a stunt that just made the whole thing exciting and fun and freaking crazy. And the fact that Simu Liu used to be a stuntman, he was able to do most of the stuff himself. Some of the more dangerous ones they didn't let him do just in case something bad happened, but most of it they had him do, and it meant that you were able to have the camera up close in the fight and see, yeah, it's him, and it looked great.
I didn't realize he was a stuntman.
Yeah, he started out as an accountant, and he sucked as an accountant. So he stopped being an accountant, and for a little bit he was a model for stock photos, which he's made some funny memes out of that. Then he started getting into being a stuntman. His first big acting gig was in Kim's Convenience, where they needed somebody who was Asian and somebody who was in great shape. So he fit the part, and that's what got him this gig.
That is hilarious. I was an accountant and I sucked. So I changed careers.
Ironically, one of his stock photos ended up on a textbook for accounting, and he loves that.
That's hilarious.
Yep.
So what I was gonna say, yeah, the shirt thing was a Jackie Chan tribute. There's also the 1-inch punch, which was a
Yeah.
tribute to I don't know if I
Bruce
popped
Lee.
my P's there. To Bruce Lee. And there's so many different things in there. I love the parkour in it. That's so much I was gonna say so much cool. Is that grammar's right?
I did dunk good English.
I better than I ever was. Anywho, yeah, really good. CGI was pretty great too.
Yeah, and one thing that I can't not mention, Tony Leung as his father, as Wenwu, he's one of my favorite Marvel villains. Because for most of the movie, or most of his screen time up to a certain point, you're like, okay, he's not evil though. He's just a guy who misses his wife. A guy who's getting back in contact with his kids. Probably wasn't the greatest dad, but he's not the evil warlord he used to be. Oh, I see. Okay, yeah, he's he shouldn't do that. Oh. Like I won't say what he does, but he's been consumed by his grief, and it's driven him to do things that no one should do. I'll leave it at that.
He's just a family man. who teaches his son to assassinate people at age 15.
Yeah, this isn't like, some sort of drama where it's just like, oh, I'm consumed by grief. Leave me alone. He channels that, and boy, does it come out in explosive ways. It's yes, it's dramatic. There's a lot of Sturm und Drang, but it's very exciting and freaking
10.
cool.
10 explosive ways to be precise.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And it didn't feel like a superhero movie, which I appreciate.
No, Shang-Chi is not a superhero.
Yeah, and I believe I mentioned this before on our show, was the fact that I was kind of getting tired of superhero movies. I needed a little more change of a pace. This movie, even though it has superheroes in it, it didn't feel like a superhero movie. It was really
They're
nice.
fresh.
Wong, though, you cannot tell me that he is not the best ever. He's hilarious. I love him. Like,
Well, I mean, we all know the best is Luis from Ant-Man.
okay, you got me. You got me. Okay, there's two best. There could be two
Yes,
best.
there can be two.
There can be two. They have two different
No more,
sides
no
of
less.
the best.
Yes.
One has the great. They're both comedy. One has the great backstory storytelling. The other one has that more serious, like, don't you dare personality.
Wong might be the funniest straight man I've ever seen.
Sorry, Jeff Dunham.
All right, but yeah, that was Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. I don't know. Anything else you want to say about it?
No. I don't have anything else. However, Jed, I'm sure you have something, and I have some questions about this next one, by the way.
Okay, real quick before we go to the next one,
Oh,
I have
never
a weird piece of trivia that ties into something that we're going to talk about later. Shang-Chi, when this movie came out, on Rotten Tomatoes, there's a critic score and an audience score. How many critics liked it, how many audiences liked it. In order to be like a verified, in order to count as a critic or as an audience score, it needs to have at least 20,000 reviews. And when Shang-Chi came out, it had the highest audience score for any comic book movie ever. More than The Dark Knight, more than any Avengers movie, more than Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Audiences loved this movie. Not everyone thought it was like, oh, this is the greatest thing ever. But if you wanted to go watch a fun movie, pretty good chance you're going to have a fun time. It's great.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's
got something for everyone.
Yeah, old kung fu. I love this movie.
Yeah.
All
All right,
Jed,
now let's go to the next one.
speaking of old, what you got for us?
Okay, we have a movie based on a poem, an anonymous poem from the 1300s, I think, The Green Knight.
Okay, now I can transition.
Okay, yeah, now you can put it up.
Oops, got ahead of myself there.
Yeah, The Green Knight. For those of you who don't know this, the tale of Gawain and the Green Knight is about one of the knights of Arthur's Round Table. He's King Arthur's nephew. He's young, he's inexperienced, and he wants to prove himself. So one day at Christmas, this weird, freaky-looking green knight walks into Camelot and says, "Hey, look at all you knights of the Round Table. I want to play a game." Which shouldn't scare you at all when a giant monster of a man comes in and says, "Hey, let's play a game." I learned from Saw, don't ever play a game. But
Somebody, oh yeah, I love games.
his game, he shows everyone, "Hey, look, I got this axe. Real cool, right? How about we play a game where, we'll do a brief little tete-a-tete, a brief little fight or duel with anyone who wants to do it can do it. And if you cut me, you win. You get the axe. That's it. Simple as that. But here's the catch. If you cut me, a year and Yuletide hence, you'll have to, I came to you. You're in Yuletide hence, you'll have to come to me. It's just 6 days north, real easy to find me. And whatever cut you give me, I'll return. Whether it's a cut on the cheek, scratch on the throat, cutting my freaking head off, I'm going to give it back to you. And so what does Gawain do? He says, "I'll do it," and he cuts off his head. Like a moron. Because then the Green Knight picks up his head and says, "Okay, see you in a year, buddy."
That was a terrifying thing. That was so funny though, because my brain when I saw him walk in, I was like, "Is that Treebeard?"
Yeah, he looks like a giant tree man.
But now I do have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Was that kind of a reference to the Headless Horseman there when they had him running off?
No,
laughing?
the tale of Gawain and the Green Knight is older than the Headless Horseman. Yeah. Although in the original poem, I don't. It's been a while since I've read it. I don't think he was laughing as he rode away. That
Mm.
was just something. The original one is very much like, "Hello, everyone. Let's go on an adventure where we're going to learn about chivalry and morals and all that." Whereas this one is, I mean, yes, it's let's go on an adventure, but it's, hey, you screw it up because you're a freaking moron. Now you're going to die. Let's have a dark fantasy, quasi psychological horror movie. It's a drama where, the only action scene is watching the the Green Knight get beheaded, and then you watch him wait a year and then travel and just, I'm going to my death, I'm going to my death, I'm going to my death, and you watch him, be presented with these different challenges and adventures, and they loosely represent the five different virtues of the time that all knights were supposed to embody. I don't remember them all exactly, but it's like a chastity, piety, fellowship, things like that. And he fails them every single time because Gawain, not only is he young, he should be better than who he is. And this is something that I like the movie. I think it did better than the original poem, which is weird because like Tolkien loved this poem. This is ancient work of history that has influenced so much of our literature. And in this one, it showed that, yeah, he was a piece of trash at the beginning. He was worthless, and he grows by the end of the movie and learns the morals that, hey, it's doesn't matter how you die, when you die, we're all going to die. And so with that in mind, how are you going to face your death? And I won't spoil anything about how it ends because it does end very differently from the original poem, but it is a very meaningful ending for me at least.
So what's who wrote the poem originally?
No one knows. There was only one manuscript ever found, and no one knows who wrote it.
It was the Green Knight.
Well, I mean,
Could be.
if King Arthur was real, which he probably wasn't, but if he was, he probably lived shortly after the fall of Rome, maybe 100 years afterwards, and so the poem was written maybe 500 years later. Although the Green Knight is a there are otherworldly forces that he's involved with, so maybe.
So is King Arthur also one of those things where it's like we don't know if it's real or not?
Yeah, yeah, we if he was real, then he was probably just some sort of local warlord or Roman legionnaire or something who united various different parts of Britannia when Rome fell, because Britain was part of Rome, but then Rome falls. It's one of the most outermost colonies, and so if there was a guy who was King Arthur, then he was just some guy who said, "Hey, everyone, let's do this. I'll be your leader. We'll defend us against France, all that sort of stuff." So there probably was a figure that did that. How similar he was to our understanding of Arthur, we'll never know.
So the chances are that this poem was probably written when that legend kind of came about.
Yeah,
Of Arthur.
it's pretty unlikely.
Okay. So we have no idea where the
Nothing, none, nada, goose egg.
that is crazy.
Uh huh.
Because my mind, every time I think poems, I think of William Shakespeare. I think of
Sure.
the stories
This is older
that
than
he told.
Shakespeare.
Yeah, which wow,
No one knows.
that
Yeah,
is so cool.
It's a dark movie. It's a slow-paced movie. It's not like action-packed or exciting. It's really trippy. Like there's a sequence, maybe 2/3 of the way through, where he's hungry, basically starving, and he eats a bunch of mushrooms and then immediately throws them up. But the whole
I would
movie is
too.
trippy, so you don't know like like were those hallucinogenic? And now he's tripping balls. How much of this is real? The whole movie operates on a sort of dream logic. Like he fails to be generous to this one person, and so he loses the axe that the Green Knight gave him, and he isn't as as charitable as he should have been to this person, but he learns to be better and then does something charitable, and then the axe appears and he has it back. So the whole thing goes by this sort of fairy tale dream logic. Although it's even by fairy tale standards, it's pretty dark.
It looked pretty dark. Like just watching was it the opening scene you said?
Yeah,
Where
I
he's sitting in the chair with the
Yeah, that's the very opening scene. It's just him sitting in a chair as a crown descends on his head, as you hear this real creepy witch narrator person talk about like, you know this story, about the kid who pulled the sword in the stone. This isn't that story. This isn't about him. This is dark. This is screwed up.
They kind of give you a warning. That's nice of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, some of the scenes and like the tone, just like the color tone of the scenes I saw was a very kind of a dark.
Like the cinematography and color palette of this movie is gorgeous. It might be the best movie I've seen all year in terms of just looking at it.
I mean, like just the scenes I saw was really, really well done. Heck,
Yeah.
it was really creepy seeing. They got their message across. It
Yeah,
was a little
yeah.
creepy when the queen was reading the letter
Hmm.
and she was possessed.
In the original poem, the Green Knight just walks in and says, "Hey, here's the thing." In this, he walks in, doesn't say a word. He just hands a letter over. Arthur takes it, but then the Queen says, "Hey, this seems kind of weird. I'll read it instead of you because don't know if something will happen." Reads it, and it's not her voice that comes out. It's the Green Knight's voice. Everything gets freaking weird and scary, and I love it.
And the look on the king's face, like just his look alone was like, "Oh, this it doesn't happen on an everyday basis, does it?"
No.
But yeah, I don't know. I might watch it. Right?
I have been begging VidAngel to put the Green Knight on VidAngel. I have no doubt they will put it on eventually, but it all depends on the popularity of the demands of the movies. And so, please, if you're out there, go ask VidAngel to put filters on the Green Knight.
Jed needs this, so the rest of us will watch it. However, I don't think. Do you have anything else? I don't have any more questions.
Yeah,
I can think of.
that's it. I love the Green Knight.
Okay. Well, on a more happier note,
Much
but
happier.
still fantasy.
Yes.
Encanto. You can too. Yeah. This just recently released on Disney Plus,
Mhm.
right? Oh, when
Yeah,
it
it's
says
on
it on there, right?
on December 24th is when it released on Disney Plus.
Okay.
It released in theaters November 24th.
Okay. It's a fun little movie. It's funny because I went to go watch Free Guy, which some of you out there might be like, "Oh, I love Free Guy."
I know a lot of people who love it.
It was fun. It was hilarious. But Encanto hit me a little more than Free Guy. Free Guy was just funny. I'm a gamer guy.
It's empty
so
calories.
I love. Yeah. It's like celery.
Yeah,
You can eat it and not gain anything.
it's just nothing. That's
Encanto,
fun.
though, Encanto gives you something.
Yeah, it does.
In fact, Jed and I were talking about this before. I have never really disliked grandmas in movies. But in this movie, I'm like, this grandma is a jerk.
She's the freaking. She feels like a combination of two of my favorite, most complicated Game of Thrones characters, but made family friendly for Disney. And oh my gosh, I hate her so much. Oh, she's the worst. She makes everyone in her family feel terrible, but no one realizes that it's her fault. They all think it's their fault. But okay, here's the thing about this movie: there's no villains in it.
No,
Everyone that you're like, oh, I can't stand that person. You then get to know them and find out why they're like that. I can't be mad at you. Now you're my favorite character. Then that happens again. Now you're my favorite character. And yeah, the grandma at the end, it showed her reasons, and
I have to forgive her.
Agree.
I have to forgive her. Why? But it's so good, and it teaches such a good message too. This is something I feel like we have been missing in a lot of movies lately.
yeah,
Is a good message that doesn't have anything to do with any politics or anything like that. It is
It's a
strictly
universal
here is
theme.
a good message, and they did such a good job. I mean, the sister with all the flowers and stuff. You think to yourself like, "Wow, she's a jerk."
yeah.
But
Like the
then you
first
see-
time you see her is in this song, and in the song it's like, oh my gosh, she's perfect and I love her. And then at the end of the song, it's like, oh, and by the way, she's a bit of a prima donna. And you're like, okay, I can get that. And then you actually hear her talk, and you're like, nope, never mind. Like, I don't care how hot you were in the song. I don't care how the whole world thinks you're perfect. I hate you.
You just sound like someone I would hate. And then you see the song of why she is acting that way, and you're like, all right, you're back in the good books. Well done.
Yeah, yeah.
Although, I gotta say, even though, like, yeah, your favorite character kind of changes throughout, still, I have two favorite characters, and I'm sticking to it. That would
Okay.
be Bruno.
Bruno's my favorite.
Bruno is my absolute favorite, because, one, great character. He's funny, but his story too is just like, what a guy.
Yeah.
What a guy.
Mm-hmm.
My second favorite character is the one that has like really good hearing. The sister who has really
Dolores.
Dolores. She's so funny. I love how just randomly she'd be like, I heard him. I heard it all. Yeah, Bruno's still here.
There is a scene with the family all together, and she's trying to keep a secret. And oh my gosh, it was so funny. It was amazing.
Like, I mean, thankfully, we gave you guys all a spoiler warning, so I'm gonna go ahead and just say it now.
Say it. It's been out for a month. It's on Disney Plus. Go watch it.
Yeah, go watch it. I'm gonna probably watch it again right after this because I honestly
I've
love
watched
that
it multiple
movie.
times.
The part where she gets the prophecy from Bruno's room about her.
Oh yeah.
And
1 second, I realized we didn't tell them what this movie is about.
If you haven't seen it, then we might as well tell you. Right?
There's a family who lives in Colombia. They all have magic powers, and they live in a magical house. That's the premise. And then the main character doesn't have powers.
Yep, everyone else has powers except her, which is very rare.
Yes.
Which, gotta throw this out there as well.
Mm-hmm.
Well done on bringing the actual culture into the movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
They are a very matriarch society.
Mm-hmm.
Abuela is in charge.
That all the moving around and all the violence and stuff. I read an article from a Colombian woman who talks about that is one of the biggest things that made her love the movie. How Colombia is incredibly unstable, incredibly dangerous, and the movie showed that, but it didn't show that Colombia is dangerous and awful and you should never live there and everyone there is awful. It showed no, this is an oasis, a safe haven amidst all of that. That's one of the reasons why the grandmother is the way she is. I have to protect this forever because this is invaluable here.
Yeah, and then you see her story at the end as she's explained to the main character. It's like, I lost everything.
Yeah.
And I don't want to lose it again. And it's like, oh, man.
Yeah. Oh.
Dang it, Grandma. Now I have to feel bad for disliking you earlier.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, question. Because I couldn't quite figure this out.
Sure.
The 3 children that she had, it was Bruno, her mom, and then
her tia Pepe, the one who controls the weather.
Yeah, okay. That makes it, because I saw the 3 of them, like, they got to be the oldest ones. They got to be the OG kids.
Yeah, I don't know if Colombia is as diverse as, say, Brazil is, because in Brazil, you go down there, there's white people, there's black people, there's Hispanic people, you got everyone. In Colombia, you have this grandmother with 3 children, and one of the children is a white redhead, another is a kind of fair-skinned guy who looks pretty Latino, and then you have a more stereotypically dark Latina woman. And then, one of them marries a black guy, so then you have black grandkids and white grandkids, and the whole thing is like, okay, whatever. It's Colombia. Great.
Yeah, I'm like, whatever, I don't care. As long as they got the matriarch part right, I don't care. But this music in there, so much fun.
Done by Lin-Manuel Miranda. It's great music by him.
Which, once again, Bruno, my favorite song in that.
Yes. We don't talk about Bruno, no.
It's so good. I love it. And then, character building for what, it was like only an hour and a half-ish of a movie.
Yeah,
right?
it's tight.
It's kind of a short movie back in the old day. Show our age. But it's kind of a shorter movie for nowadays. And we should probably move on because we're taking up time on this. Go watch it, Disney Plus. Yes. I'm probably going to watch it here in a moment.
Yeah, this next one, it's a total box office bomb, which is a shame because it's my personal favorite movie of the year. It's one that I was very skeptical going into it. I did not know if it was going to be good, but oh my gosh, it captured my heart. It's freaking magical. It's West Side Story. Now, give a little frame of reference where I'm coming from. I did not grow up watching West Side Story. I have seen the original now. I saw it after I saw this new one. I'd always wanted to watch it, just never got around to it for various reasons. But when I heard, hey, Steven Spielberg is remaking West Side Story. It's his first remake and his first musical. I said, okay. The original, won 10 Academy Awards. It's known as one of the greatest movies of all time. I don't want to judge this against it. I just want to walk into it clean. And it's so good. okay, the things from the original that were great, like the music and the all that. Yes, that's great because it had one of the greatest lyricists ever writing it. And the story is Romeo and Juliet, except in 1950s New York, and it's a race war. Okay, sure, simple. Everyone knows Romeo and Juliet. I freaking fell in love with these characters, even though I knew what was going to happen roughly, because Romeo and Juliet. I knew you know, I knew going into it that they got a lot of people from Broadway. The dancing in this movie is incredible, and I hate dancing. But this choreography was on point, like same quality as like Shang-Chi. It's fantastic. And then the singing, oh my gosh, Rachel Zegler has the voice of an angel, and I cannot get enough of listening to the soundtrack for this movie. It's colorful, it's bright, it's exciting, it's emotional. Please go watch West Side Story. After having seen the new one, I can say this one is way better than the original.
And by the way, that girl you're saying, that's the one on the front cover, right? That's right.
Yes.
Okay.
She's Maria.
And she played in in a play in high school, right?
Yeah, she was cast as a 17-year-old in high school who said like, "Okay, great, I'm so excited to be Maria," because she had played Maria before in a high school play, but she said, "Can I finish my production of Shrek first?" And so like the cast and crew of the movie went to go watch her in Shrek after she had been cast as Maria.
She was in Shrek. That's hilarious.
Yeah, Shrek
I
the
love
musical.
it.
It's amazing.
She's already won my heart. Shrek.
Yeah, and she, just off of the strength of her performance in this, she's already been cast in Shazam 2. She's going to be a Disney princess. This girl's going places. She is incredible.
Cool.
And so are a lot of the other performances. Like, Riff in the original, he's fine. Guy who played him here, there's a chance he's getting nominated for Best Supporting Actor. The original character, Anita, won Best Supporting Actress at the 1961 Academy Awards. And the person who plays Anita in this one is currently the front runner for Best Supporting Actress at the Academy Awards. Everyone is fantastic. It's Spielberg's best movie since Saving Private Ryan, and I will die on that hill.
I'm not going to crack that joke. That's a dark joke, not for YouTube.
I know what you're thinking.
So my other question is,
Yeah.
because you said it bombed at the box office.
Oh, yeah.
And we were talking about it. Not many people like musicals anymore. But so why is it that a story like this, a musical like this, doesn't get as much views as, say, how Encanto, because it technically is a musical. But how come, what's the difference between those two? Why is one better than the other for a lot of people? Like, what gives musical live actions a terrible rap?
So Encanto and West Side Story they're very similar. West Side Story, it is a musical for adults. It does not market itself towards children. It's not the most 4-quadrant movie imaginable. Whereas Encanto, this is something that's marketed as something that is for kids. You can take the kids to, but also if an adult goes to watch it, bringing their kids, they will love it just as much. And so that does limit the box office of West Side Story. Also, the fact that people are skeptical of remakes of classic movies because most of the time they're awful, and people aren't into live action musicals as much anymore. There have been 3 this year, and all 3 have bombed. But I could talk for hours about why West Side Story is doing terrible at the box office right now. But instead, I'll just say, go make it bomb a little less. Go watch it. It's fantastic.
I know Jed was trying to get me to go watch it because
it's so good.
He was like, "You need to go see it, please, please, please." And I'm like,
like The Green Knight was my favorite movie of the year, and it came out in July, and I didn't think anything would touch it. And I walked out of West Side Story saying, "Yep, that's my favorite. Screw The Green Knight. West Side Story is way better."
Which, by the way, if Jed's saying that, you better go watch it.
I'm buying this the day it's available.
Did I have any more questions?
I don't know. We can move on.
I did. Okay. Well, not a musical, and it didn't bomb in the box office. In fact, it was the most highest grossing movie in Japan.
Ever,
is Demon Slayer. Now, we don't really talk about anime too often on this show, but who knows? That might change. But the show Demon Slayer, it's a very capturing story. So it's not like your usual Jonen Shump animes where it's like the hero just gets stronger, blah 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 blah. In this case, it's all about friendship. No, in this case, the main character has lost everyone except his sister. And in this movie, he's trying to figure out, because his father, he didn't know this, but his father was a demon slayer. Part of this organization that's eliminating demons. They aren't recognized by the government, by the way.
Okay.
Like, imagine someone coming up to you and be like, yeah, I hunt demons. And they're like, yeah, like demons exist. Have you seen any? No. You're welcome.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's basically how it is. So they're kind of in that, going into that industrial age of Japan.
Yeah.
And as Tanjiro, the main character, he's trying to find a way to cure his sister, who was turned into a demon.
Okay.
He meets the highest ranking demon slayers, the Hashira. And Rengoku, the guy with the flaming red hair there.
I feel kinship with him.
You know what? You might. Except he has a lot of energy. He's kind of
that's fair.
High energy guys. But he is known as a flame Hashira. So he has a flame fighting style. And this movie, one thing that's great about the show, the manga, the movie, they are not afraid, like Game of Thrones, to kill characters, you know.
Yeah.
But the thing is that they have such impact on you and the main character that when they do die, it is a real blow to you. And this movie does a great job on doing that. There's a reason why it's the highest grossing, because the artwork is beautiful, the way they do it, which 2D animation, anime has the top 2D animations I've ever seen.
Well, good anime. A lot of anime is cheap, but when they
That's
actually
true.
put
Good
effort into it, it's incredible.
This one does it. They put in a lot of effort into it. In fact, one thing that's cool about it is because, you know, you got the classic, everyone thinks Dragon Ball Z, right?
Yeah.
Or they're like, screaming, yeah.
10 minutes of fighting and then one punch. Or 10 minutes of screaming and one punch.
Yeah, this is not that case. Matter of fact, you don't see the power. Like, we as the viewers see kind of like the fighting styles and such. Except it's done in a different art style.
Okay.
Which is one thing I love. Because reality is, in the actual show, they're just swinging a sword. There is nothing going on. The only powers that actually are visible to the characters are the demons. The demons' powers.
Okay. Yeah.
So really cool stuff going on. This movie hits you really hard right in the heart, because you're like, you just barely get to know Rengoku.
Yeah.
But he saves everyone's lives and dies at the end.
Oh.
And you get to see his background a little bit right before he dies, and it's just like, how dare you make me care for someone I didn't even really know?
So this is a follow-up to the TV show, right? Do you need to have seen the TV show to watch this?
Yes. So this movie was made as the second season.
Okay.
Because in the manga, this is kind of the second chapter. So they decided, like, well, we could release this as the second season, or
right,
make it into a movie and then release another season as.
Yeah.
So that's what this movie was. It actually follows the timeline.
Okay, and so I know a little bit about Demon Slayer, but just based off of the title, I have a question. Is it more of a horror series or more of an action series? Or, is this movie more horror or action?
I would go with an action and thriller.
Okay.
So,
all right.
let's see, how can you explain a thriller compared to horror? Thriller is more of like on your edge, but it still has kind of a little horror factor into it.
Yeah, horror is like, who knows what could happen? A thriller is, what could happen, and you don't know if it's going to happen.
Yeah, so this is more of an action thriller in that case.
Yeah, okay. All
because especially if you've seen the first season of Demon Slayer, like, someone can die, even a main character. And so it's more of an action thriller.
Okay, great. We want to move on?
You might as well. I'm like, I don't really have anything else. It's good.
Yeah,
good movie.
Speaking of action thrillers, we have the movie that is the antithesis of the action thriller. It's this This is we're going to talk about Pig. Pig came out this April, I think. I remember when the trailer came out, and I think it was January. Everyone saw it and said, "This looks so terrible, and I think I'm going to love it." Like, for those of you who don't know, the general pitch of John Wick is a retired assassin has somebody break into his home and catches him off guard, kills his dog, steals his car, and now he's coming back for revenge. And so we watched the trailer for Pig, and it's Nicolas Cage as an old guy with a past has had his pig stolen, and now he's coming to get the pig back. You're like, oh my gosh, that's terrible. I'm so excited to watch it. And then you watch it, that's not what it is. I mean, yes, that's the plot of it, but it's a slow, artful, beautiful meditation on grief. How to move on. It's not an action movie at all. Like, the closest thing to an action scene is watching Nicolas Cage get beat up when they steal his pig. It's just about, this guy who's very good at what he does, and what he does is he's a cook. He's not an action fighter. He's not John Wick. And he just wants to get his pig back because he loves that pig. Because his wife is dead, he's alone. This is something that he loves. And he will do anything to get it back. Just like any of us would.
And it's a truffle pig?
Yes, a truffle pig. For those of you who don't know, truffles are a type of fungus, mushroom. They're very valuable for eating. They're a delicacy. People will pay inordinate amounts of money for good truffles. And so he lives out in the middle of nowhere with this truffle pig, and he uses the pig to find truffles. And then a guy comes every once in a while to, give him supplies, and then he gives this guy all the truffles he has. And then some frickin', people who are coked out of their minds come and steal his pig in the middle of the night. And now he wants his pig back.
And I remember the scene that you sent me, the restaurant scene. It
might be the greatest scene in the whole of any movie all year long.
So does it show his background at all? That character, like, show Nicolas Cage's
talking to? No.
Does it show Nicolas Cage's background at all?
No. You learn what he did, as he talks to different people. But in this scene, he's at a big fancy restaurant in Portland, Oregon, and this guy comes out, and he used to know this guy who used to be like the greatest chef in the world. And with a few sentences, he just completely deconstructs this guy. He just reduces him down to his, to his essence. He strips him of all of his pretentiousness. But he doesn't do it because he hates this guy, because he's angry with this guy. He does it because he's sad at what he's become. He's compassionate. He's trying to help this guy. And destroying what he has become is the best way to do it in this case.
Yeah, it was really really inspiring. It's like,
yeah,
why are you trying to impress people? You don't need to.
Yeah. Why are you making this food? You don't like this food. These people, they don't matter. They're not real. They're not real because this food isn't real. Because this food isn't a reflection of you as an artist. They don't know you. They don't care about you because this food isn't you. This food isn't real because you're not real. What do you want to do? What do you want to be? Be that.
I think it was super nice too because it's like he remembered the kid. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I remember firing you because of this.
Yeah, you kept overcooking the pasta.
And it's like, I remember you telling me your dreams. And I feel like that made it more impactful too. I mean, when I ended up texting Jed, please tell me he ends up getting the pub. And he's like, I don't know.
He's only in that one scene of the movie. So many characters in this movie are only in one scene, and I'll never forget them.
Like, I kind of want to watch it. Granted, I like action movies.
Yeah.
A lot. But the way that scene was portrayed, it's like, this looks like it has something to offer.
I will say, something that kind of makes this movie differ from a lot of action movies and why, the trailer did feel like it was going to be an action movie. The whole time as you're watching it, it feels like it's about to become an action movie. Like, one wrong word and someone's going to, like, pull out a knife or shoot someone or deck someone in the face. It's always on the verge of that because the whole time he's trying to keep all of this pain and anger and grief and regret inside. And it's just, I'm here for my pig. I'm here for my pig. I'm here for my pig. And so you always feel like he's on the brink of explosion in the movie.
Now he moved out of Portland, right?
Yes, he's living in the middle of nowhere in Oregon.
And then he came back because that's where his pig kind of traced him to.
Yes, he is following the tracks of his pig. Not literally. Like the very first thing,
Come here, Willow.
like maybe a half hour into the movie, he finds the people that stole his pig, but they don't have it anymore. They gave it to someone else. He keeps following the track of this, the trail of this pig. Oh, and another thing, when he finds these people, he doesn't beat them up or scream at them. He just wants to know where his pig is, and when he finds out that they don't have it and has an idea where to go, he leaves them alone. He doesn't care. He knows that they're, a bunch of drugged up people who are, they're not happy with their lot in life. It was their fault. They decided to do this, but he doesn't blame them. He's just here to get his pig.
Now, in the performance that I did see of Nicolas Cage, is he like that throughout the whole movie then?
He's very quiet.
Okay,
This is not big over the top Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, when I was watching it, I was like, this doesn't feel like Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
Well, no, it didn't, because even his voice wasn't like the normal, like, I'm going to steal the Declaration of Independence.
Nicolas Cage is basically a living meme. And in all of his absurdity and ridiculousness, we often forget he's an incredible actor. He has talent like no one else.
He just happens to get all the roles that
Yeah.
he kind of is a goofball.
Yeah.
I say this as one of the guys who laughed at the fact that someone in our stream currently had a filter of Nicolas Cage.
Yes. Yes. Yes, I love meme Nicolas Cage, but this is a reminder that he is more than that.
Yeah, he has talent, which is why he gets hired for some of these things.
He's the nephew of the director of The Godfather. You'd think that some talent would transfer over, and boy, did it.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of talent...
Yeah, speaking of movies where a guy goes on a warpath to get something back that was his.
Actually, in this case, it was his daughter's. It is what started it all.
Give me the gosh dang kitty cat bracelet.
Literally the best line of this movie. That's right. We are talking about nobody. Nobody at all. Nope. Nobody. Here's the poster. So, this movie... basically, they looked at John Wick and was like, wow, this is really cool. But what if we switch it to a comedy?
But the action will be just as good.
If not, the action will be more violent. Remember when we were looking at the filters and it was like violence was 74 and then John Wick was like just barely underneath. But it's hilarious. It's so funny. And how long? What's the name of this actor again?
Bob Odenkirk.
Bob Odenkirk. He trained for, you said, 2 years?
Yeah, he started his career as a writer for comedy. There'd be what do they call it? Sitcoms, and he would write for them. And he was a funny guy, and so then he started getting a few acting gigs. His career exploded when he was cast as Saul Goodman in Breaking Bad, but he was there because, he's funny and clever and a good actor. And then he's like, you know what? I want to try an action movie, and this is a great script. I don't look like an action hero, though, so I'm going to work out and train for 2 years to make this one movie believable.
And he did. Oh, man, he is hilarious in this movie. He keeps the comedy side to it. Yeah. And it's kind of cool, his background, too. He's not an assassin. He's nothing like that. Well, because he's kind of an assassin.
He was an accountant in the military.
An auditor. He was an auditor.
Auditor, that's it.
He was an auditor for the military. And he kind of plays it off as like, I'm just an auditor. I'm a nobody. But yet he is like a super dangerous man. And the way he describes it to the people before they died, or as they died.
Yeah.
Put it simple, he has an addiction to fighting.
Yeah.
Because
not fighting necessarily, just violence in general.
Yeah, violence in general. And you see it throughout this movie. But he's trying to get away from it. He's trying to become a family man.
Mm-hmm.
So he has his family and stuff. Some people broke into his house. And mind you, his relationship with his wife is kind of was separated.
It's on the rocks. Yeah,
it's on the rocks. Then people break into the house.
He knows he could kill them at any moment.
Yeah, I mean, he's been trained. He knows exactly what he's doing. Mm-hmm. He's about to take a first swing with a golf club to take out these people. But then he pauses and stops because he's like, I can't get back into this life again. I will...
He also sees that there's no bullets in the revolver they're holding.
Which goes to show his skill, throwing that out there. A gun pointed in his face, he's just like, there's no bullets.
He knows that these are not serious people. These are people who are scared, who don't know what they're doing.
but they messed up.
And they also only stole like $50.
Yeah, yeah. They're like, I pay with a debit card.
$50, and what else was in the bowl that had all that cash?
A freaking kitty cat bracelet. The one part of his family that made him feel like he was still there, part of the family, was his
Stole
daughter.
my daughter's kitty cat bracelet.
Mind you, this whole movie started because he thought they stole his daughter's kitty cat bracelet. So he goes hunting for him. He goes to this tattoo parlor. He's like, because he saw a tattoo on her wrist, so he goes to this tattoo parlor. And he's
Need
like,
to find out who this is.
yeah, he's like, I'm looking for this people who can do this the hard way or the easy way. And he's like,
And
nobody.
they're like, all right, we're not afraid of you. We're going to do this the hard way. Then one guy recognizes him.
Yeah, because he sees his tattoo on his side. And he's like, thank you for your service.
Like, goes into a back room, locks the door, bolts it, just...
Like, not only do you hear all the bolts going on, he like slides open the thing, looks over the edge, confirms everything's all right, closes it, and then walks out. And so he finds out, he goes there, and he just takes out this couple who stole from him, and he's like, give me the freaking kitty cat bracelet. Not with that language. He used a little more harsher language.
Then he realizes they've got a baby, and the baby's sick, and they can't pay for it.
So
I can't stay angry at you.
yeah, it's kind of like us with Abuela. We can't stay angry. There's a reason.
Yeah. Shouldn't have done it, but we get it.
So he already has like this upset. He his violence. He wants violence.
He's
gets
riding the bus
on a
home.
bus.
Like, he just has this feeling of like, I need to hurt someone. I need to hurt someone. I need to hurt someone. And who walks on the bus?
And to throw this out there, this movie does great with their music choices.
Yes.
It ups the comedy level to a
My Way.
11
Perfect
out
for
of
that
10.
scene.
So you got these drunk guys who
Like
one of them's
a
related.
Russian mobster relative, but just a bunch of drunk jerks on this bus. They're messing around with the few people left on there. They start surrounding this young girl who's just reading a book and like, oh, being all weird and threatening and scary.
He goes out and like escorts the
Bus driver.
the bus driver
He's like, okay,
off.
Go off. Closes the door. No. I'll take care of this.
and you hear his thoughts. He's like, "Don't worry, you're gonna get home safe tonight." He's talking to the
about
girl.
that girl. And then he just gets their attention, pulls out his revolver, takes all the bullets out. I'm gonna F you up.
And then he just I mean, he's a little rusty, so he's getting himself beaten up while beating them up.
He gets stabbed. He gets seriously hurt more than once. Gets thrown out a window.
That was a funny scene too. He gets thrown out the window, gets up, like arches his back, and then slowly walks back on the bus.
So old.
But yeah, he beats all these guys
all in the hospital
in the most gruesome way possible. By the way, he has to cut the kid's throat. The mafia boss's
because he
brother.
He broke his trachea.
Yeah, he took a pipe from the bus and smacked him right in the throat. So he broke that little part right there. So his windpipe needs to be...
And, like, stuck a straw in there as he cut him open so the guy will still breathe.
Yeah, so he still lives. He didn't kill anybody, so he's fine.
No. Yeah.
His older brother, who's in charge of all the mafias...
The guy who he just stabbed the straw into to help him.
Yeah.
That guy's older brother.
That guy's older brother is in charge of all these mafia bosses' money. Money. Income.
Yeah.
Yes. So, he finds out about this. He goes...
Like, you hurt my brother.
Yeah. Very serious. And here's another funny moment. One of the little brother's buddies was like, I thought you didn't really care about your brother. The guy throws a freaking chair at him. And he's just like, they're blood. As much as I don't like them, don't mess with blood.
And yeah, it becomes all-out war between this hilariously evil Russian gangster and like the ultimate dad if he was also John Wick.
Yeah, and he goes out like this guy, nobody. He goes and just annihilates everything that this guy owns, and then he has the audacity to show up at this Russian guy's bar, eating
his club,
his club, eating steak and stuff right in the middle of his performance. He goes down and he pulls off the napkin, and he's got a freaking claymore.
Just like, no, we're going to talk because otherwise you're gonna die.
And oh man! And then he walks out. He like gives him his options.
It's
Classic
like,
thing.
hey, we'll all walk away, forget all of this happened, or we fight and I kill you all.
He goes out to the car that he stole,
And he's just,
crosses his fingers, and then it happens. He's like, yes. Oh, we forgot to mention one thing before we probably should move on. But
yes.
one more thing I got to mention. Guess where the kitty cat bracelet that started this whole thing was? In his freaking basement the whole
I was
time.
there the whole time.
Because the Russian guy sent men after to go take him out, so he sends his family off. And he wipes out the entire squad that came after him, puts them all in the basement, goes to
He's
burn.
monologuing as he's telling, like, oh, this is my backstory. Well, I'll be darned. It's the kitty cat bracelet. Okay.
And it happens so frequently in this movie too. Like he'll be explaining what he did in the military, and then by the time he gets close to finishing, he looks over and they're all dead.
Yeah. Every time he explains something, somebody dies, but not intentionally.
Yeah. A black Russian. Wow, you don't see those anymore.
Yeah.
Super funny. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to move on to another movie
Yeah.
that is fantastic. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Jed.
Absolutely going to be nominated for everything at the Academy Awards. One of the greatest movies to come out this year. It's a shame that it didn't make as much money as it could have. Talking about Dune. This is, oh my gosh. I mean, people will say that this is like the science fiction book you should read. This inspired Star Wars. We wouldn't have like anything without Dune. I didn't really believe them. Then I watched this movie. Yeah, everything is ripping off Dune. And Dune is so good. It deserves to be ripped off because people will only dream of making something as good as Dune. This is only half of the first book. I went and read the first book. I won't say anything about what happens in the second book, but I'm very excited to see people react to it.
I know for me, it was definitely a good change of pace because it felt like Lord of the Rings in space. And as you all know, we love Lord of the Rings.
Yes, it has Lord of the Rings scale action, but not a whole lot of it. It's mostly just, this grand world, characters as they scheme and plot. What's the politics? Let's plan. And also, freaking giant space sandworms and drugs that make you hallucinate the future.
Dude, the amount of crack jokes I made during the movie, hilarious.
Yeah, it's hard sci-fi, but also fantasy. It's everything. Like, if you like politics, watch it. If you like action, watch it. If you like acting, watch it. If you like cinematography, it's freaking gorgeous. If you like, directing, writing, the visual effects, it has that Oscar in the bag. It's, in terms of just pure filmmaking, I think it was James Cameron. He was interviewed the other day. He's talking about, look, people, a lot of these big directors like Martin Scorsese, Francis Ford Coppola, they say that Marvel movies, they aren't cinema. They're just like amusement park rides. We're not saying that they have to be cheap art house movies. Look at Dune. Dune was a freaking masterpiece. That was art, and that cost hundreds of millions of dollars. So when you got James Cameron saying that this movie's a masterpiece, you've done something right.
Which, I gotta say, this was definitely an improvement from the 80s version.
Oh boy.
I mean, with the time, 80s, they did pretty good with what they had, but...
And in terms of effects, there's some great miniature and scale work there. Yeah.
But I think as far as like acting and stuff goes, this movie does a great job.
Yeah, the old movie, it took a lot of the weirdness of it and really made it even weirder because the director, David Lynch, one of my favorite directors, he loves weird stuff. And like
the guy who sniffed too much spice and it became direction.
Or there's a scene where somebody has to milk a cat in order to stave off his drug dependency. So weird. But in this one, they take all the weird stuff and say, it's not weird at all. It's completely serious. So if you have a comically obese man floating around like a balloon, they make it scary instead of weird. And oh my gosh, it was great. He
was kind of gross and disturbing and scary.
Super gross, super scary. But not once did you look at him and say, it's kind of goofy. Yeah.
Some of the fighting scenes in there, like when he had those visions of the fighting, I'm like, that looks really cool. When do I get to see more of that?
It does not go... I feel like Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi. This is not going to go the way you think. I'm very excited to see what people think of it.
Okay. Cool, cool. Well, should we move to something that everyone kind of saw and coming, but
Yeah, if
we're
you
still
yeah,
surprised?
we'll just leave off with, if you haven't seen Dune, what are you doing with your life? Go watch Dune.
Go watch it. You missed your chance in theaters, but
Yes.
you can
Which is a
still.
shame because this movie, it was made to be seen in theaters. I've seen it at home and in theaters. It's great at home. It's impeccable in theaters.
And once again, I yell at you. Big screen, please.
Yes.
What are you doing?
Please, please.
Please put it on big screen. I want to
Oh,
see it in VR.
oh, gorgeous. That would be incredible.
Oh man, some of the environments you can watch stuff in.
Oh, yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
But sorry, this is a long episode because it's our top
Yes.
10. So just a heads up. Yeah. Oh, we know it's a long
Yeah,
episode.
we know. We know. All right. But this is it. This is our grand finale. This is what it's all been building up towards.
Our very first one, and the one that we've been wanting for quite some time, Spider-Man: No Way Home. Next episode, next movie starring homeless.
I was maybe Home Slice or Home Alone or
Peter Parker, Home Alone. I just screwed up my green screen. Don't mind me, just gonna put my brick wall back. Where
ignore the man behind the curtain.
we were talking about putting Danny DeVito somewhere back here. It's just like,
Yes.
whee. Anywho, No Way Home has exceeded expectations.
Yes.
I gotta
and
make sure I-
expectations were already high.
I better be a little more quiet because my brother has yet to see it,
Okay.
and he's like on the other side of the brick wall. No, just kidding. The other wall, the more plaster-looking wall.
Yes.
But this movie, I have never cheered and clapped before in movie theater. I really don't care to do it. This time I did. I cheered. I was so freaking happy.
Yeah, remember when I did my quick review of it and I said there's a lot of fan service in this movie, but it's fan service done right?
Absolutely. Absolutely done right. So, I love the way they did it too, because kind of like how in you were telling me about this, how Homecoming, Iron Man was in it, but he wasn't actually a part of it.
Yeah, he had maybe 5 minutes of screen time. He cast a large shadow over the plot of the movie and the characters, but he didn't play a huge role in the screen time, in the running of the movie.
Same scenario with this. Doctor Strange is there. He's a major part, but he's not actually.
Yeah, he kind of kicks off the events, but after that, it's Spider-Man.
Which, and by the way, unlike the other two movies that Tom Holland did, this felt like an amazing Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, it's not Spider-Boy, it's not Kid in High School, and I really liked both of those movies, but this is Spider-Man. We're talking about responsibility. We're talking about consequences. That's what Spider-Man is about.
Like, if you look at some of the greatest Spider-Man, like, that's why I love the Sam Raimi. That's why I like those movies, because they had the consequence, they had the problem, they had a choice.
Mm-hmm.
And Spider-Man Spider-Verse clearly put it was, Spider-Man, you got to get back up. That's what Spider-Man's all about. In this, you get to see that Tom Holland as Spider-Man getting up from a consequence that he created.
It is his best performance as Peter Parker and as Spider-Man by far.
Mm. And what's great too is the fact that he had two people there to help him, two other Peter Parkers.
Oh, I was going to say Aunt May and Happy Hogan.
Nah, they're both dead to me.
Spoilers if you haven't seen Spider-Man No Way Home, and if you've managed to not be spoiled on the internet somehow. Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are in this.
They lied to us.
Andrew Garfield gave his best performance as Spider-Man, and I think arguably so did Tobey Maguire.
Agreed. And there's, like, when we're talking about fan service, they did the meme. They did it right.
Yes, they pointed at each other. Yes.
It was great. And they have fun little Easter eggs in there, too. Mm-hmm. Like, from the Spider-Man game, if you played that. Me and
There's some
Brendan,
fight moves in there.
Me and Brendan had to tell Jed about it, but there's a few moves that you earn in the video game that he does in the movie. And William Dafoe, my goodness, he is terrifying. Jed's laugh should say it all. It is.
He's even better in this than he was in the original. He's so good.
Oh man, and what's cool too, because I actually saw the interview, Jed, where he was like, I don't want to just be a cameo. I want to be a part of it. I want to do stuff. I want to be part of the action. He did it. He was like all the other guys, all the other bad guys that were in there. They did a good job.
Yeah.
But he shows how the Green Goblin is the nemesis of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So good. And I love how you were able to come to you're able to have closure. Is that the one? Closure with both Spider-Man, specifically Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man.
Well, okay. So there's two big moments of fan service that really worked. They did the work to make it organic and emotional and be a part of the story rather than just, hey, we did the thing. Like there's a moment where MJ is falling and Andrew Garfield, he's seen this before. This happened before. This is his chance to do it right this time. And he saves her. But it's not just, oh, he saved her. They take a moment where he asks, are you all right? And you see he's breaking inside, but he's also, he's proud of himself. He's getting catharsis. Finally, he's able to heal from that terrible moment. And MJ says, are you all right? And he's able to say, yes, he is. And then Tobey Maguire, in an act of revenge, wants to kill the Green Goblin. He's about to stab him with his own glider, and Tobey Maguire comes in and catches it. And the look on his face is, don't do this. You will regret this for the rest of your life. I've made this mistake. I regret it. You can't do this. And he doesn't say any of that. It's all in his face. So out of those two moments, out of those two fan servicey as heck moments that were also perfectly organic and emotional, which one did you prefer?
Tobey Maguire's.
Yeah?
Honestly, I loved Andrew Garfield's performance. Mm-hmm. But Tobey Maguire hit more to home with me because I think Andrew Garfield's character, or Spider-Man, said it best. You're like a preacher.
You look like a cool youth pastor.
Yeah, cool youth pastor. Because he kind of is. He has more experience than the other two Spider-Mans.
He's the elder statesman of Spider-Man.
Yeah, and like he made the comment, and he's like, trying to fix these people. I've had a lot of time to think about this. Mm-hmm. You had him there when he's coming up with the formula. Ned comes over. He's like, do you have a Ned too? I had a best friend named Harry. He tried to kill me.
And he died.
In my arms.
Really tragic.
Really funny because Ned comes over. He's like,
I just want you to know I'll never kill you.
I'll never try to kill you. But like, you get to see this older Tobey Maguire, older Spider-Man, just like he's experienced all this. He has suffered.
And they did things with the characters because he has, he's the elder statesman where he's suffered a lot, but he's come through with wisdom that the other two don't have. You look at Andrew Garfield, he's the middle child who doesn't feel like he measures up, he doesn't get the same attention, which is very meta, and that's kind of how he also feels as an actor, but also, dark things happen to him and he let it consume him. So our Peter has to look at one of them and say, you're great and I want to be what you could have been. And the other, you're great, I want to be what you were. And as a result, I'm going to be, Spider-Man instead of like Iron Man Jr.
Mm-hmm. So he's become his own hero versus being a copy.
Yeah, which is ironic that he learned how to be his own hero by looking at copies of himself, but it worked.
Yeah, well, and also one thing I'd like to point out the fact that this movie did is not only did they build more on the character of Peter Parker and what Spider-Man is, they also showed of how he is a genius. He is smart. Yep. He knows what he's... Scientifically, he is all over the place. He knows what's going on. Mm-hmm. Magic stuff's a little out of his range, but...
Right. And if any of you are in doubt that there's too much fan service or it won't really work as a movie because it'll just be Cameo, the movie or whatever, remember what I was talking about Shang-Chi being the best audience-reviewed movie on Rotten Tomatoes, or best superhero movie in terms of audience Rotten Tomatoes score? That was broken by Spider-Man No Way Home, which not only is it the greatest reviewed audience superhero movie on Rotten Tomatoes, it's just the best audience reviewed movie ever on Rotten Tomatoes, as a 99%, which is unheard of.
Oh man, I mean, there's a reason why Spider-Man's my favorite hero,
Yeah.
just in general, because I really like who he is. But the things they did in that movie, so good. The fan service, you don't even realize it's fan service.
Except for when Green Goblin said, I'm something of a scientist myself.
Okay, except for the memes. The memes were definitely the fan service that we all deserved.
But like, I love Daredevil. I love Matt Murdock. They found an organic way for him to be in the movie, and then
Yeah.
it wouldn't have made sense for him to be in the rest of the movie, so he wasn't in the rest of the movie.
How'd you like Peter's reaction when the brick came flying through?
He's like,
How did you?
Part of it was like, holy crap, how'd you do that? But also, holy crap, I don't know if I was going to catch that in time. Because in the comics, Daredevil senses are actually better than Spider-Man's spider senses. So he was able to put in those two layers of how'd you do that, but also how'd you do that when I wasn't going to do that?
Yeah, I'm just a good lawyer.
I'm a really good lawyer.
So now I have a question for you here on this, Jed,
Yeah.
because you've seen Daredevil.
Mhm.
How does that character fit to the brief moment you see in No Way Home? Is it pretty like? Do you feel like they're keeping the same kind of character of him, or
So
they might
it's
change it
hard
like
to
Kingpin?
I'm guessing it's going to be changed like Kingpin, not to the same degree, but the character of Daredevil, he's very angsty and broody. But when he goes around as Matt Murdock, he's much more happy and friendly. And this seemed like exactly the same Matt Murdock we got in the show. He does have his moments of seriousness. Like there's a moment I love when he, a blind lawyer, is arguing in court in the Defenders, I believe, against like some like corporation or some landlord or whatever who through negligence caused this young boy to be blinded, and he wins the case. And then afterwards, after winning this kid millions of dollars, he just goes up to him and says, hey, look, I know what you're going to go through. This money's going to help, and I'm glad that we won because justice has been served. Life's not going to be easy for you. No amount of money will ever fix the problems in your life, but you can do it. And while he was kind of happy and lighthearted as much as you could be in the scene we saw in No Way Home, you still did get that underlying, that layer beneath it all of, like, you're not out of the fire yet, kid. You're fine in terms of the law, but your troubles are only beginning.
Oh man, was he right?
Oh boy.
Oh, how about that ending though?
I think my favorite scene was Tom Holland in that diner not talking to MJ.
That it was kind of heartbreaking, but I was like, good.
Or
good.
at least my favorite scene in terms of Tom Holland's performance.
Yeah. Now, for me, I couldn't quite tell. I couldn't tell. I was like, okay, is he going to let it happen naturally? Or is he just going to say, no, I'm Spider-Man. I can't have them involved anymore?
It's like the ending of the first Spider-Man movie. It's, no, MJ, I don't love you. When he does, but he can't do it because his people close to him will be put in danger if he does that.
I mean, he, spoilers, loses Aunt May.
Yeah.
Aunt May. Idaho, what have you done to me? But, yeah, and he hears the line, great power comes great responsibility. And I think after that, that's when he realized, I don't know if I could have these guys with me.
Yeah.
But that's one of the things that was great about Tom's performance. It's like, I can't tell. Is he going to let it happen more naturally again?
Like, is he just going to reintroduce himself into their lives and not say, hey, by the way, I'm Spider-Man, just, hey, I want to be your friend? But no, he doesn't even do that.
No. It kind of hints at it, but at the same time, it doesn't hint at anything.
Mm-hmm.
Because you already see, he's like, should I get involved?
Yeah. And he knows as much as he wants to, the responsible thing is, I will do whatever is best for them, no matter how much it hurts me.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. I could go all day about how much I love that movie.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's time for us to come to a close. Jed, do you have any last thoughts?
I mean, go watch movies. Go watch West Side Story. Go watch Encanto. A lot of these movies are available in theaters. A lot of them are available to watch at home. Please watch them if you haven't. They're fantastic.
And for me, also go watch our videos as well.
Yes.
Past episodes.
Also, please watch us.
Watch us, please. I beg you. Also, this next year, we're going to be live streaming on Saturdays instead. Have we decided at 6:30 as well?
Yes. Yes, 6:30 on Saturdays.
6:30
So-
on Saturdays. We may have more guests with us.
That effect will start next week. This Saturday will be the new year, so we won't be broadcasting on Saturdays.
Heck no, I'm sleeping in. Wait, I guess we're starting at 6:30. It doesn't
You're
matter.
sleeping in till past 6:30 in the evening?
Heck yeah. Haven't you ever heard of after dinner nap?
Okay, that's fair.
I made that up, but I think now I think about it, I have fallen asleep right after a meal. Anyways, yeah, that's our brand new news. Aaron may be joining us again. I don't know.
Yeah.
I may just be saying that. We'll find out. But so our next episode, here, let me pull up the calendar so I can give an actual date, will be the 8th of January.
And we're going to have a theme for the month of January, which is we'll tell you what it is then. But in the meantime, it's going to be a magical month.
Heck yeah. We'll come back. Oh no, I'm not going to finish up that sentence because it'll spoil it.
Don't say it. Don't say it.
There's no spoiler warning for our next episode.
Yes.
And like, comment, subscribe. Tell us what your favorite movie
Yeah,
is.
let us know what your favorite movies of the year were. If you've seen some of these movies, let us know. If you haven't, I mean, there was plenty of great movies that didn't make our list. So I'm curious to see what your guys' lists are going to look like.
And you can follow us at of Cinematics on Twitter.
Yep.
And we'll keep you posted there as well.
Mhm.
But I think that's it.
That's it.
We'll see you later.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.